All right, Comedy Republic, it's time to do your thing. Clap your hands, lose your minds, go absolutely crazy for Kirsty Webeck.
Hello, legends. Hello. Thank you so... Thank you so much for being here. I know we're going to have the best time tonight. I can already feel it. You sound amazing. I know that we're going to have such a good time together that every year on this very date, moving forward, we will gather together again in some sort of informal environment, just to reminisce on what a wonderful time we had tonight, go over some highlights, touch base, to see what we've all been up to over the last 12 months, you know. The weather's not good at this time of year in Melbourne, so it's going to have to be at one of your houses. We can work that out later on. It'll be super fun. There'll be giant Jenga. I know that for a fact because I got it for Christmas. But I can't think of any other situation in which I'll ever be able to use it. So this is my big break. Probably Frisbee as well. We'll start it in the afternoon. There'll be Frisbee. Got a couple of those on the go at the moment. Things have been going pretty well. And I know what you're thinking. What are we going to do about food? And don't worry, I've thought about it. We're all going to bring a plate. I think we'll have a really lovely time together and it'll feel like nothing could possibly go wrong. And then someone's going to crack out a trifle. And that'll really wind me up because I hate trifle. I think it's absolutely disgusting. And I thought that I'd found something that we could all unanimously agree upon. And then I started touring this show and I found out that it's actually quite divisive. I found out that there are people out there who are quite partial to a bit of trifle. I found out that there are monsters walking among us who don't mind messing with it. So let's get it over and done with. Right now, I want to know what I'm dealing with tonight. Please give me a big woo if you love trifle. Woo! That is too many people. I've been doing stand-up for about 11 years now and people told me that by this stage of my career I will have found my audience. But I think I found the wrong one. Now, please give me a big woo if you hate trifle. Woo! I think the haters might have won. They certainly were more vocal. Now, please give me a big woo if you've got no idea what trifle is. Woo! All right. All right, well, what I want to say firstly is I'm jealous. I wish I didn't know what trifle is. I'll give you the rundown. I don't want anyone to get left behind, so I'll quickly tell you. Trifle's disgusting. What is it? Okay, let's just think that someone's gone into their fridge and they've gotten all of the sweet and sweet adjacent items. They've shoved them into a big bowl, given them a zhuzh, and then chucked them back in the fridge to set. And I don't know why I did that. They do set. They genuinely do set. Okay, and then later on you go around to their house, like, unwittingly. And you're a bit excited because it's a special occasion and you're like, there's going to be dessert. And then they announce that they're going off to get the dessert. And then they come back out with this abomination. And they flop it on the counter and they go, I made a trifle. And you're like, you shouldn't have. Like, what are we talking? We're talking like cake, jelly, custard, booze, like sherry. Did I say jelly already? I don't know. I blacked out. Am I missing it? Cream? Fruit? Yeah, don't try and make it healthy. Who said coconut? Your mum did. What a loose unit. That's really going for it, isn't it? Like, she was really following the model of just get everything out of the fridge and shove it in. So it's gross. It's gross. And I think the annoying thing about trifle for me is that, like, not a big dessert household. It's more for special occasions. You know, you get a little bit giddy and someone's like, it's a birthday, there's going to be a dessert tonight. And you're like, yes, this rules. And then they bring that out and you're like, oh, no, this is the worst night of my life. And I don't think I'm a particularly judgmental person. I don't mind what you're doing on the weekend. Like that. I don't mind what you're up to in your private life. Married to twins, sure. None of my business. Enjoy dressing up as a politician and wrestling. Also, none of my concern, but I will judge your dessert choices, and quite harshly. it seems. Have you ever noticed that the person who takes the dessert to the potluck gets all the hype? Like everyone else may as well have not brought anything. I've got a good example to back this up. End of last year, went to a Christmas party. That is when they tend to happen. It's just tradition by this point. And we got assigned a genre of food to take. Salad. I was livid. Like, you can't give your friends the old razzle-dazzle with a salad, can you? I was like, they're not really platforming me to shine at this event. So I went high-end, right, beetroot and feta. Yeah, pretty good. Festive colours as well. Christmas party, really splashed out, put pine nuts in there. Scanned as peanuts. We're in a cost of living crisis. I work in the arts. Can't afford pine nuts. So I've rocked up with this salad. And my mates don't even look at it. They just go, thanks, Kirst, pop it over there. I'm livid. I go stomping across the kitchen like this, pop it down on the bench, and I'm guarding it, weirdly. I don't know why, but I was very possessive over it. There was no need to be guarding it. No one was going anywhere near it. About 2 minutes later, my mate Sam wanders in with dessert. Okay? A subpar tiramisu. Okay, that does not leave the room, okay, but it was. It's true. It was a subpar tiramisu. And in my opinion, tiramisu is just gay trifle. It is, isn't it? So he's rocked up with this, and everyone's carrying on. They're all going, oh my God, it's amazing. Did you make it yourself? And I'm over here guarding the salad. And I'm like, he assembled it. Like, it's hardly bake-off material, is it? They're all grabbing at it. Like, what's everyone else having for dessert? What I'm trying to say is I went home with 2/3 of a bowl of beetroot and feta salad. Okay, there was no tiramisu to be seen. That's okay, though. I'll bring it to the reunion. It'll still be in good condition by then. There's that much vinaigrette on it that it'll be fine. But yeah, I was having to take the hit anyway. Sam was going through a rough time and needed the ego boost. So I was like, all right, it's fair enough. While we're on the subject of food, burgers are getting too big. Have you noticed this? Has anyone been out for a burger recently? They're massive. They're huge. Remember the good old days? We used to be able to just get a cheeky single-hander. You know, you get a little burger, sit in the restaurant, you just hold it. You don't have to put it down. No admin. Like, no admin, free hands. You could do whatever you wanted. Mate wanders in, give him a wave. Give him two, doesn't matter, you got a free hand. Need a napkin? Just grab it. Want to flick off a text message? Doesn't matter, off you go. Now they're these like triple story monstrosities, you need free hands to wrangle them, which is problematic for most of us. I reckon the last 5 burgers I've had out at a restaurant were so tall that they had to be in the back row of their school photos. And they come now with toothpicks through the middle, don't they? Because they've got no structural integrity. Like, I don't want to order a meal that can't hold itself up. And sometimes toothpicks aren't enough, like they come with a skewer through the middle. Have you had that? Like it's hanging out this much at the top? It's like a javelin. I reckon we're 3 years away from it just being a fence paling. Went out to dinner with a mate recently and she ordered a burger, and when it arrived she said this, she goes, how am I going to attack this? How am I going to attack this? I was like, why is Becky's dinner making her think like a bobcat? They come with whole meals in them now as layers. You know, back in the day you used to get like a bun and like a patty, cheese, lettuce, tomato, pickles, most important bit. We can all agree upon that, right? Yeah, all right. None of you would dare to disagree at this stage. You're like, yeah, pickles, yeah. Bit of sauce as well. Like you get all of that these days as well, but then you get like some nachos and some potato chips and a lamb brisket and a barbecue meat lover's pizza. You're like, what's all that doing in here? It's a savoury trifle. Now, I don't know if any of you good people have noticed this, but the Cancer Council has recently extended its famous slogan, slip, slop, slap. They've just added on 2 new words, making it slip, slop, slap, seek, slide. Now, I asked my friends if any of them had noticed, and one had. My only other friend with a lisp. We're panicked. We're being bullied by a melanoma prevention campaign. Is the marketing director at the Cancer Council my high school bully? I know what you're doing, Sally Simpson. And yes, your name is still an absolute nightmare for me to say. I think they should go all the way and make it slip, slop, slap, seek, slide. Say it, don't spray it. I also reckon we're just one summer away from them just making it she sells seashells by the seashore. Just go all in. Got firm views on desserts and burgers and what the marketing department's doing at the Cancer Council. But you're all safe because I'm trying to be a less judgmental person. I recently adopted a saying that I'm trying to live my life by, and if this resonates with you, feel free to use it moving forward as well. I'm trying to spread it around the country at the moment. Very simple, it's just be kind always because everyone you meet is facing a battle you know nothing about in the Facebook comments with a landscaper from the Central Coast called Trent. I think we miss out on a lot when we make snap judgments. And I think I'm pretty good at not judging a book by its cover, but my problem is thinking that all of the information's right there in the blurb. Now, I've been doing a lot of shows out in the country because it's the easiest way to write an award-winning vanilla slice off on tax. A few country bakery fans in. At the end of one such show recently, this group of people started approaching me, and I had a quick glance over the group, tried to gather a bit more information. There were sort of 8 or 9 of them, and I took in their outfits and I thought to myself, they're farmers, all lesbians, huge crossover in our wardrobes, which is why I'm so excited about my new game show idea, Lesbian or from Dubbo. Like, is she working the land or is she just a friend of Bunnings? So they've come all the way up to me in this sort of flying V formation, and as they get up really close, their fearless leader steps forward, sort of toe to toe with me, and he looks me dead in the eyes, and he goes to me, do you know what? When you came on stage tonight, we were nervous, but we loved you, and we're farmers. And on that farm, they had some prejudice. E-I-E-I-O. I thought on one hand, that's a nice bit of feedback. Maybe I've cracked into a new market. And then I thought, on the other hand, this is the first time in my 40 years on this planet that I've been made aware that I was at war with farmers. I had no idea right up until this very moment this group of delegates approached with an olive branch, fresh from the grove, I'd assume. I'd always thought farmers and I were on the same team ever since McLeod's daughters made me gay. I was talking about this on stage a little while ago here in Melbourne, and at the end of the show somebody came up to say hello, and as she was leaving she said to me, oh, by the way, my dad's a farmer. Do you want to know why they hate you lot? I was like, you lot? Who? Sagittarians? She goes, they hate you lot because you all start hobby farms and take over the farmers' markets. I was like, how rude. What an offensive thing to say to a complete stranger. And what a gross generalisation. It might not have been the success I'd hoped for, but my farm was never a hobby. And I just think it's time that farmers stop focusing on our differences and start celebrating our similarities. Like, we've all got wardrobes full of flannelette shirts. We all love a sensible boot. And farmer wants a wife, me too. Appreciate that. Thank you, yes voters. I heard a cool saying recently. It was just, instead of being judgmental, try being curious. So just really simple. Like, instead of thinking Steve's a jerk, ask yourself, why is Steve a jerk? I don't know. I like to think that most people are doing their best, you know, like we're living in pretty sensitive times. There's a lot going on out there. We've got climate change ticking away in the background. Cost of living crisis, of course, is happening at the moment as well. Worst of all, Sam Kerr's engaged. We've all got a lot on our plate. And we're doing our best. And when we're under a lot of pressure, like, I think that's when we're most likely to make mistakes, right? And I like to think that every now and then when I make a mistake, sort of every 12 to 15 years when I make a mistake, the people will take a look at it and go, nah, she's all right, she's doing her best. She's made a little error. No worries. About 8 months ago, I made one of the biggest mistakes of my life. I made probably the biggest mistake that I've made since using a cigarette lighter to see if a camping gas canister was turned off. It was, in case it's unclear that I still have a head. Massive mistake I made about 8 months ago was I agreed to MC a performance for a concert band. It sounds pretty low-key, right? Well, the plot's about to thicken. I'm going to fill you in on what happened. First of all, I'm going to tell you what a concert band is, because when I agreed to MC this performance for this concert band, I didn't know what one was. Rookie error number one. A concert band is an orchestra with no strings. As in no string section, not no strings attached. They will still want a text message the following day. So something you might know about stand-up comedians is that not all of us, but a lot of us MC a lot of events, right? And me in particular, MC everything. Opening of an envelope, I'll MC it, no problem. In fact, they're probably my favourite gigs. And so when somebody contacted me and was like, are you interested in MCing this? I was like, of course. What could possibly go wrong? Now, the thing about comedians when we're MCing events is it's our job to fill in all of the pauses, silences and gaps. Now, when I agreed to MC this performance, I didn't know that concert bands were famous for their pauses, silences and gaps. I had no idea. So I've rocked up on the day and they've given me a run sheet and they're taking me through it. And they're like, okay, just announce the whole concert and then there'll be 4 songs. You go away. Come back announce them, and then there'll be 4 songs. Go away. Come back, just this for the rest of my life. Like, I couldn't believe it. I was like, is someone going to tell them that you don't have to show everyone that you know every song? Like, you can just choose some. Wasn't my place to say it. So I was like, yeah, this is going to be great. So I'm like, yeah, don't worry about it. Like, I'm an untrained professional. I've got this under control. So I come out on the day, right, and there's hundreds of people at this event as well. On a Sunday afternoon, I had no idea there was this amount of demand for a concert band performance on a Sunday afternoon. No shade on them, good on them. For example, they would not be able to accommodate their audience in this venue right here. They are doing quite well. So there's hundreds of people. I come out, right, and I do a little introduction about myself and whatever. I do a couple of jokes to test the waters. The waters were frigid. All these several hundred people were seeing was a barrier between them and their beloved concert band. So I was like, okay, this will be good. Like, easy. I don't have to do any jokes or anything. I don't have to bring any charisma to the party. They've all made up their mind. So I announce it all, and then off I go. Right, off to the side I go, over here, as was mandated. First song, Fires Up. I should also point out, there are about 12 to 15,000 people in the band. Like, I didn't know there were that many instruments on the planet, but they were all up there on the stage. I was like, this stage is going to collapse under the weight of all the tubers, but it didn't. So I'm over here, off to the side. First song goes up, and I'm like, all right, it's not my jam, but good on them. And then after a few minutes, it starts to wind down, and this is when I realise that I haven't been given any indication of how long any of these songs are going for. But I'm like, that's okay, because until I'd agreed to host this event, I'd always prided myself on my ability to know when a song had drawn to a close. So I'm like, all right, 1 song down. Second song fires up. I'm like, okay, suspiciously similar to the first song. None of my business. Third song fires up. Then the fourth one, and I'm like, all right, okay. As the fourth one's winding down, I'm like, this will be fine. All I've got to do is count the songs. It's going to be all under control. Song winds down, and I'm like, all right, now's my time to shine. Out I come, right, massive stage, much bigger than this one, all the way out into the middle, big MC face. And I go, wow, wasn't that incredible? And just as I say that... Sorry. I make my way back to the side of the stage and I'm horrified. I'm like, oh no. I was certain that song was over, right? But then I'm like, I've got no point of reference, right? I'm suddenly dripping in sweat as well. It's like the middle of winter. We're in this massive hall, right? It's freezing cold, and I'm suddenly sweat, like my hair's plastered down. I'm like fanning myself. I'm like, oh no. Flicking wildly through this run sheet, like trying to find any kind of hints or whatever. There's none in there. And I'm like, oh no, this is going to be a long day. And then this song finally winds down and I'm so nervous. I can't believe it. Like, I'm just over here and I'm like, oh. And I wait a few seconds and I'm kind of peeking around. Like, I'm trying to see if there might be an ally in the audience that might want to word me up on whether or not now's the right time to go out. No one. They hate me unanimously. And so I'm like, oh. I wait a few more seconds. And I wait a few more seconds until the audience starts to think I've had a medical event. And then I wait a few more seconds until I start to think that I've had a medical event. And then eventually I make my way back out at like 65% height, 25% confidence. I come out and I'm like looking at people like I'm like, surely someone sees the humour. No one. Not one. And I'm giving them like, me again, eyes. Oh, look who it is. Boot. Like, and then I'm like, whoa. All right, let's make some noise. And just as I say that, and I'm like, you have got to be kidding. I'm like, this is a stitch up. I'm mortified. I'm so sorry, everyone. Just making my way back across, bright red, just revert, just beep, beep, just like an embarrassed truck. My soul had left my body. I was hovering above it. I was just like, oh no. And then this song just kept going up and down, like false. So I'm over in the wings then, and I'm sort of doing this awkward salsa. I'm like, oh, is it now? No, we're like 15 minutes into this concert and I've done my 10,000 steps. I'm at serious risk of doing my ACL. Like, eventually the song winds down and I'm like, okay. Just completely, just dragging my feet by this stage, just, oh no. And I get back out into the middle and I'm like, oh, wasn't that so good? And this is finally the correct time, you'll be relieved to know. So everyone's like, yeah, it's good, yeah, all right, she's done it. And I felt like relief. Like I'd never felt before in my life. I couldn't believe it. But then I realised that I had 5 more blocks of 4 songs to get through until interval. Not even until the end of the concert. And I was like, oh no. So what ensued is I came out at the wrong time 5 more times. That is 7 times in total, which is 7 times too many. I hit a point around the sort of 5th mark where I'd come out and I could just pick any random person in the audience and I could look into their eyes and I'd see straight through their eyes into their brain and I could see them going, no, Kirsty. And I'd just start leaving again. But on the 7th time, I knew it was different. There was this strange draft suddenly blowing through the theatre. There was this tension like I've never felt before in my entire life. And it's the first time that I thought to myself, I've got to turn around and see what's happening behind me. And I did, right? I turned around like this. And I turned around just in time to see the conductor absolutely lose her mind. Now, I'd always fancied myself as being the kind of person who would make it all the way through life well into old age, having never fallen out with a conductor. Like, it just wasn't on my radar. I was just like, I was fairly confident conductors and I would remain cool, like the whole way through, but no, okay? So I've turned around just in time to see the conductor swing around and wave her wand at me. And I'm frozen. And I've got this, 3-second period where I'm standing there and I'm like, am I frozen in terror? Or has she cast a spell? Just frantically wiggling my toes, and I'm like, oh no, I think it's just me. What a relief, it's just my nervous system shutting down. And then she says this, she goes, well, it looks like you and I need to have a little chat in the interval. Just in front of hundreds of people who unanimously did not enjoy my company. And I was like, if there's one thing I won't tolerate in an interval, it's a little chat. But big year 8 science vibes for me. I reckon that's the last time somebody spoke to me like that. And I can remember it really clearly, actually. I reckon it was about 4 days into semester 2. And our teacher, Mrs. Johnson, she was fed up. Now, in my opinion, that's too early in term 2. Must have been something else going on. But what happened is I had just run my wooden ruler through the Bunsen burner. And which I still maintain to this very day was an experiment, and that's what we were there for. And Mrs. Johnson said, well, Kirsty Webeck, it looks like you and I at recess need to have a little chat. But on that occasion, I was like, yes, she's right. I was like, someone's got to rein me in. I've got a terrible attitude. But on this occasion, I was like an adult trying to do my best, fighting for my life in this concert band performance. For her to be like, we need to have a little chat, I was like, no. I was like, we're going to deal with this like adults. And then that's when I realised I had the power. Because I was like, I'm going to be announcing the interval, aren't I? So I was like, I'm going to have a head start. So what I did was I crept to the edge, like as close as I could get to the edge, and I announced the interval, and then I ran. I ran right around the hall. I found a curtain up the back and I hid. Because I was like, we can't have a little chat in the interval if she can't find me. And then I waited for somebody from the band to wander past, and I was like, Hayley, over here. And she was like, what are you doing down there, Kirsty? And I was like, shh, get down. Made her army roll under the curtain. And I was like, Hayley, I need your help. I don't want to do the second half of this concert. I'm going to go home. You see what I mean? Handling it like adults. I want to go home. I go, we need to come up with an excuse. And Hayley goes, I'm pretty sure everyone's going to know why you left. So she was in the horn section and she goes, how about when we're coming up to the end of a song, the horn section, give you a nod. And I was like, perfect. So I was saved by the horn, which was wonderful. And then what happened is the concert wrapped up sort of 12 to 13 hours later. And I mean, I assume. There's actually no way of knowing. It could still be going right now. And then what I did, I've never done this at all in my professional life, not once before. I left like a pile of my own personal effects and like the run sheet, the clipboard, my own personal private pen. I don't know why that's important, but I need you to know I owned it. And just a few things like this. And later on, when I was on the couch, I was enjoying imagining audience members walking past this little pile of my stuff and just being like, did the conductor finally get her? I thought about it for ages afterwards, though. I thought about it for a long time, like how the conductor had spoken to me and how she'd made me feel. And I think the biggest barrier to being a less judgmental person is other people. We're nightmares, aren't we? Oh, it's usually our communication skills that let us down. As well, like in this example, I think maybe, I don't know, a few timestamps next to the songs probably would have made the whole afternoon run quite smoothly. It is usually our communication. I've been doing a lot of flying recently, mostly with the assistance of airplanes. Like, they're just there already. They've got a whole industry around them. I might as well get on board with that. No sense in reinventing the wheel, and they can't fly anyway. So, lots of flying, and I was at the airport recently and something really cool happened to me that's never happened to me before in all of my years of airline travel. I received a special page. Yeah, pretty cool. Pretty good. Okay, give me a quick woo if you've received a special page before. Woo! All right. Feels like quite a few people, actually. How special are these? If you're not familiar with a special page at the airport, this is all it is. Attention, everyone. This is a special page for Kirsty Webeck. Please make yourself known to the staff at gate number 7. Overjoyed. I couldn't believe it. I had a quick look around at the terminal at all the other people, and I was like, out of all of these people, they have chosen me. Like, now I know what it feels like to win the Powerball. Like, and I was like, be cool. You don't have to go now. Like, coaching myself, you know? I was like, just relax. You can make your way around in a minute. But then my mind was racing. I was like, what could it be? An upgrade. An exit row. Reimbursement for this $28 toastie. So curiosity got the better of me and I just went hurtling through the terminal. I didn't know I could move that quickly. Like, I was just zooming through. I could hear chariots of fire in the distance. It's like pushing people's luggage out of the way, just eating small children, parkouring over the muffin break counter. I went screeching around into gate number 7 and I was like, yoo-hoo, it's me, Kirsty Webeck, yoo-hoo. Now, the voice of God who told me to make my way to gate number 7, she didn't specify how to make myself known to the staff at the gate, but judging by their reactions, that's not how they wanted it to happen. They weren't receptive to it at all. Wandered up to the counter, right, 3 of them, all in their uniforms, great, read the code of conduct. Very tall, heels, I expect, and bent at the waist, right? Made me feel a lot shorter than I am, but bent at the waist, and they were all peering into my soul, like all 3 of them, and immediately I was like, this is not about the toastie. Like, quite a menacing vibe, just all of them, just like, it's for way too long. It felt like we were there for 3 minutes, you know, it's probably 3 seconds, but just like this. And I hate one person peering into my soul, but 3's just too many. Like, my eyes were darting around trying to avoid eye contact. I was like... But just due to the sheer volume of eyes, there was approximately 6, every now and then I'd just clamp onto a pair and I was like, ah! Felt like it went on forever. Eventually their fearless leader leaned a little bit further forward and she goes, thank you for coming around, Ms. Webeck. We have allocated your seat to you and another passenger and we'd like to move you to another seat. I was like, okay. I thought, well, it just doesn't feel very special. Well, you know what I mean? Like, what a gross misuse of the word special. Like, I reckon the grossest misuse of the word special since Kellogg's got a hold of it. They're like, we'll just slap that on the worst cereal ever made and that'll shift some units. And it has. Good on them. Like, I could tell they were kind of waiting for gratitude or something, but I was a bit annoyed. Because I was like, they've taken away my right to decide whether or not to have a stranger share my seat with me. Like, do they have any idea how hard it is to make friends as an adult? My reaction really surprised me, actually. This is what I did. I said, why me? Very out of character. Like, ordinarily I'm just like, yeah, all right, fair enough. No, I'll hold on to the tail? Yeah, I can do that, no problem. That's right. But this was the hill I chose to die on this day. Why me? I go, why do I have to move? Why can't they? I don't know why. Like, I don't know why I got so upset on this particular occasion. Maybe because the stakes were so high. Because I was like, if they reallocate me to a middle seat, I'll have to walk to Brisbane. So then they did something really surprising. They go to me, okay, well, you can wait for the other passenger and work it out amongst yourselves. I was like, okay. So I did. Just camped out. And then they arrived and we did work it out amongst ourselves and it was decided that my seat would be reallocated and it was reallocated to the security office. Because it turns out Virgin Australia really frowns upon arm wrestling a 92-year-old. I think we would have gotten away with it if we'd stopped at the one round, but when he demanded best of three and I was too keen, they're like, we've got to intervene here. Now, a few months back, I opened this show in Canberra, the nation's capital, for those of you not in the know. And the very first night that I ever did this show, start of the tour, my 13-year-old niece came to see the show, and it's the first time she'd ever seen me do stand-up comedy live. And at the end of the show, I made the biggest mistake that I've made since agreeing to MC a performance for a concert band, in that I asked a teenage relative of mine what she thought of my brand new show. And this is the only feedback she gave. She goes, everything you say ends in something silly. And I was like, okay, did anything annoy you in particular? And she goes, well, I can't be the only person from that audience tonight who wants to know what seat you were really reallocated to. And I said, well, I think you might be. And then I had to explain my whole job to her. I was like, mate, I can't go around the country every year and just catch everyone up on what happened. I can't just be like, oh, I rocked up to the airport and they gave me and somebody else the same seat, so they moved me to another seat. Thank you so much for coming out to my show. Please spread the word. Anyway, this is her legacy now. They moved me to 12A, okay? And before you go home and DM me on Instagram, the original seat was 10A, okay? Anyway, I don't even think the special page is the worst page you can get at the airport. I think the urgent page is. I've heard one of those before. I know what they are intellectually. Plane wants to go, you're late, hurry up. But every time I hear one, I imagine the person going hooning around into the gate and those three very well put together people leaning forward and going, you left the oven on. It's pretty urgent. I heard a cool one the other day that I'd never heard before. I heard a friendly page. I thought, that's pretty cute, isn't it? I imagine that person went hooning around into the gate and they all leant forward and they went, we'll support you through anything, dump him. I reckon we need more friendly pages. I've noticed people getting quite upset about little things lately. What I'm trying to say is I go on the internet. Spend a bit of time on there. But I've been thinking about it a bit lately, like how upset we're getting over small things. And a big way that this landed across my desk was I was in the car, strange place for a desk, I know. And you just never know when the inspiration will hit. And I heard on the radio, right, this was a few months back, I heard that there was a furore ripping through the fountain pen community. Like the fountain pen community. Now, if there's anyone in the room tonight who's never seen me do stand-up comedy, you need to know this. I'm known for not ripping into anyone, right? Not ridiculing anyone, and this isn't about the fountain pen people, all right? Because I love people having hobbies. Whatever they are, like I don't even know what they are, but all of your hobbies in here, I love them. For you, okay? Like, I don't love the AFL, okay? I don't love it, but if you do, I love that for you. I love it. So I want you to go out in the freezing winds, like with your cute little beanie on. I want you to do that. I want you to cheer. Can you please stop clogging up Punt Road? But other than that, I love it for you. So it's not about but it's, I want people to be into fountain pens, okay? Like, some of my best friends are into fountain pens. Some of my best friends are fountain pens. The thing is, though, I didn't realise the fountain pen people had found each other and banded together in a community and were now raging about things together. So what it was that a new ink was released and the fountain pen community felt that it was given the wrong name. And some of you are politely waiting for the rest of the story. That's the end of the story. And you've got a little bit of homework now. Go home, Google it later on, and you'll be like, oh my gosh, she was right. You will find millions of videos of people just being like, it's the wrong name. Like, 3 minutes on the topic is what it's... Anyway, really upset. And the reason I'm bringing it up is, firstly, need to get it off my chest, all right? I've got to share the burden. But the other thing is that I just think if the fountain pen people are upset, there's no hope for the rest of us. Okay, there'll be fountain pen people in here tonight. There'll be fountain pen people in here tonight. I know that we can't keep them out, right? We wouldn't want to. All are welcome here. Okay, but when I imagine the fountain pen people, which is way more frequently than I care to admit, I spend a lot of time ruminating on the fountain pen people. When I think about them, I just imagine them to be just the most peaceful people with their beautiful pens. They're at their wooden desk. It's always wooden, I don't know why, and I'm not taking any questions, but wooden desk in the window, autumnal leaves coming down, mottled light coming through the window, and they're just there, just with their... I don't know why the letters are so big. But, just deeply peaceful, and I'm like, if they're upset, we're all doomed. Like, if there's calamity amongst the calligraphers, there's no hope for what next? A doping scandal in the Tai Chi community? Makes me worried. Something I do that winds people up, that makes people upset, is I don't drink alcohol anymore, and people hate it. And I don't understand that. Because if you're a big drinker and I'm not drinking, there's more for you. Like, in my early 30s, I was party boy Corey. If you don't know who that is, more homework. You'll email me later. You'll be like, Kirsty, you've changed my life. I can't believe I didn't know about party boy Corey. I was party boy Corey. And if I rocked up to a party and there was a non-drinker there, I was delighted. I was like, well, they're keeping out of my esky. And in 5 hours' time, they're taking all of us to the hospital. This is perfect. It does. It irritates people. It irritates people on the same level that being a vegetarian irritates people. People are still upset about vegetarians. We've been around for ages. And there's way worse people out there than us now. Like, vegans are everywhere. They're on the loose. They'll be in here as well. Deep respect for vegans. Seriously. I'm not just digging myself back out of the hole that I just created. But I love vegans' politics. I'd love to be a vegan, but I'm like, what are you doing about chocolate? It's cheese, isn't it? Cheese is a big one. It's definitely cheese. Vegans aren't even the worst. On the other end of the spectrum, you've got paleo people. They're rife. I met one the other day, meat-only diet. Every time somebody turns to a paleo diet, a colorectal surgeon gets a new Mercedes. Paleo people aren't even the worst anyway. In this very room, there's a big cohort of people who like trifle. Whenever I say I'm not drinking alcohol, people are always like, why? Why, Kirsty? And I don't say I don't drink alcohol. I'm like, no, thanks, I'm not having a drink. I don't drink alcohol. I just say, no, I'm not having a drink now, thank you. And people go, why? Like, there's no conceivable reason. Like, I couldn't just be a drinker driving the car tonight. But they're always like, why? And I'm like, it could be a big can of worms as well, right? And it's not for me, I should add. Very boring reason for me. I quit drinking in my late 30s to avoid trifle. I was like, oh, is there sherry in that? No, not for me. No, sorry, no booze for me. It's not true. I hit my late 30s and I couldn't cope with having a pot of beer and then having a hangover for 2 days. I just wanted to feel nice. That's my reason. But people are so perplexed that I think it's time that we hand it over to somebody to come up with some kind of cool marketing campaign. Maybe somebody like the Cancer Council could pop together some sort of slogan that makes people, I don't know, get their head around the reasons why people might not drink alcohol. Something catchy like sip water, stop binging, scrap hangovers, speak coherently, stride over to your car. Sip, stop, scrap, speak, stride. I appreciate that. By this age, this show is just public speech therapy for me. Like, by the end of this whole tour, there'll be no lisp. It'll be cured. It'll be cured. Something I enjoy about not drinking alcohol anymore is that fewer people get to see me at my worst. Like, something I've learned is that there's no other situation in life, other than when you're out drinking alcohol, where it's ever deemed appropriate to leave the house with one subpar story that you tell on a loop for 3 hours. Right, like, you can get away with it when you're drinking, and I say this again as somebody who is very well versed in the art of holding court in a backyard with one terrible story. I'm going to tell you a story that between the ages of 31 and 34, I told pretty much every person in the northern suburbs of Melbourne. Okay, this is it. I live in Northcote. Not anymore, but I did at the time. That's where we all come from. That's where I first found out about McLeod's daughters. I'd go, I live in Northcote. I live immediately in between two train lines. I get one train line to work, but the way the schedule works, it means it's better for me to get the other train line home. So if I get that train to work and then the other one home, I get home 7 minutes quicker than if I took the one train line to work and then back. I would love to tell you that there was more to that. So that was it. That was and I'd be telling it to other people who were drinking, so they'd be egging me on. They'd be like, oh my God, Kirsty, public transport in Melbourne is incredible. They'd make me feel so interesting that I'd lure passers-by into my web of boring story. I'd be like, oh, Michelle, you're off to the bathroom, are you? Just hold on for a few minutes. Come over here. You haven't heard about my commute. You can't get away with that when you're sober. So few people are now exposed to that, right? I reckon it's pretty much restricted these days to my partner and my doctor, right? Which is probably true for most of us. You know, they're the people in our lives that tend to see us at our lowest points, aren't they? Like, very few of us go to see our doctor when we're thriving. Which is why I've come up with an idea for a new national day. Okay, I think that all of us each year should get one day where we get to go and see our doctor for a non-medical related catch-up. Do you see what I mean? That was a 25-minute gap in that song. I did not stand a chance at the concert band performance. So I think we should all get to go and see our doctor, right? And just shoot the breeze, learn a bit about them, swap Netflix suggestions if you want. You could use that time to find out once and for all how much they weigh. You could do whatever you wanted. I have a great GP. I love my GP. She's very funny. Whenever I rock up to see my GP, she says to me, "What's the diagnosis, Dr. Webeck?" And we work backwards from there. Now, I have a very low success rate, right, which is why I'm happy to go and see her, because her training and my training are very different. Like, hers is more sort of university and practice-based, while mine's more sort of internet, Google-oriented. So I never hesitate to go to her for a second opinion. I had to go and see her a little while back and she was away. I'd had a particularly accident-prone former 12 months, which funded a couple of weeks in Bali for her and her family. So, needed her, rocked up. She's not there. I have to go and see a substitute GP. And never seen this doctor before in my life, right? And I go in and I had to get a test done, okay? Nothing serious, everyone, please relax. And she took me through a checklist. And we go through all the questions and then we get to the final question. And she goes, "Kirsty, is there any chance you could be pregnant?" Yeah, that's what happened. Like, she laughed, right? And you're allowed to. We're in a comedy environment. But there in the clinic, I thought, this is a bit off. Different to a comedy show. Would appreciate a straight face. So she has this little laugh, and I was like, I was a little bit annoyed. And I go, "Doctor, it's 2024. Like, in case she was a time traveller. You know, like holding up a copy of today's newspaper for her. Like, I go, "It's 2024. And then I was just like, is she laughing like, McLeod's daughter thing? You know, I was like, is that what this is about? So I go, "Hey, queer people can get pregnant in loads of different ways." And then I started telling her how. Because I was like, there's a gap in her knowledge, so I'll fill it. So I start listing it, right? I go, there's IVF. I go, a couple of my friends artificially inseminated themselves at home. Another one of my friends sat on a toilet seat at Revolver. It's true. Stay safe out there. And she goes, oh, I know about all of that, Kirsty, which I was relieved about. I was like, cool, she has done the training. And then she goes, it's just that as I asked that, I saw on your file that it says that you've had a hysterectomy. And I have, and this wasn't me finding out. Like, I already knew I was heavily involved in the process. I wasn't there in the clinic just going, when? Who did it? I knew about it. What happened is a couple of my gay friends, Adam and Steve, they started sniffing around for a surrogate, and I was like, get it out! So then I was on the back foot. You know, I was there, I was indignant. I've just given her a TED talk on how people can get pregnant. So I was annoyed. I was like trying to think of a way to come back. I'm like, who's she to suggest that I can't be a medical marvel? Like, I haven't had a drink in over 3 years. If anyone's liver is capable of carrying a baby, it's mine. There's another reason that I say that as well, actually. I went to the doctor a while ago, like a couple of years ago, with like a really sore throat, and I thought, I'll need some antibiotics, right? I know this stuff. Dr. Webeck was on it, but I'm not allowed to issue scripts for myself, so... So I went to the doctor, I was like, I think I need some antibiotics. And so the doctor's had a look and goes, you've got tonsillitis. And I was like, I've had my tonsils removed. And the doctor was like, they've grown back. Did you ever know that could happen? I had no idea, but it's true, I've got tonsils. Like, I've rocked up to the doctor thinking I'm just going to get a course of antibiotics for, like, strep throat. I had no idea I was about to find out that my tonsils have had their very own Easter Sunday. Anyway, smoothed it over with the doctor, which was good, because before my great original GP came back, I had to go back and see her again. And this time it was because I cut my foot snorkeling in Thailand. Sounds like a big brag. It's not. It's relevant. Okay? You need to know that. Okay, so cut my foot. And so I've gone to the doctor and I go to show her the foot, right, because it was the right thing to do. I thought she'll be better equipped to fix this if she's got eyes on it. So I've revealed the foot to the doctor, and this is what she did. She went... And I go, Doctor, we need one of us to be brave. And I was hoping it'd be you. So she has a look at it and she goes, right, you've cut that, snorkeling in Thailand. I'm worried there's coral in it. I don't want there to be any coral. And I was like, I do. She goes, what are you talking about? And I said, well, I've just seen the state of the reefs in Thailand. Who am I to refuse to offer up the base of my big toe as a reef restoration site? And she was like, that is silly. There are better ways to go about that. And I've looked it up since and she's right. So she's like, I'm going to give you some antibiotics. And I'm like, will that also clear up the coral? She's like, yes. But hopefully. I was hopeful it wouldn't, but I knew it was doomed on day 2 when all the clownfish started moving away. Got me into a big deep dive on the ocean though. Pun intended. No refunds. Big ocean person here. We got any of those in the house? Give me a woo. Yeah, not... Oh, right. Very docile, sort of apathetic ocean people in tonight. That's good. I didn't say how enthusiastic I wanted the woo to be, in your defence. Grew up an ocean girl. Sequest DSV. Yeah, was that had grown over there. My favourite shows, actually, so that was quite hurtful. Spent the first 15 years of my life wanting to be a marine biologist, but then I found out you had to go to university and you couldn't just go off aquatic vibes. Love the ocean. I've been reading a lot about overfishing lately, right? And we're getting towards the end of the show, everyone, and you've been absolutely beautiful. So thank you for being here tonight. Overfishing. You will have heard of overfishing, right? And so I'm sorry to bring the mood down, but I've found a solution for it, okay? So stick with me. We're ending on a high. Okay, so we're fishing faster than the fish populations can reproduce, right? So what we need to do is we need to ease up. So if anyone here is in the government, they'll be very helpful to my interests because we need to get the word out. At the moment, this is the only platform I've got and it feels like it's not enough. So I'm relying on you. I'm subcontracting to you now. So what I'm proposing is I think every January to June we need to halt commercial fishing. And if you want to eat seafood, you've got to catch it yourself. So we've got to lean into the idea of like give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. Teach a man to fish, he'll have veggies for dinner because it's harder than it looks. And I think that'll be enough. That'll give them some time to like start a family. And because the thing about fish, right, is when they're born, they need 3 to 5 years to reach sexual maturity. Okay, which means that they can reproduce themselves. Not that they'll stop giggling every time someone says erect. That day never comes. So I think that'll be enough, like, for them to be able to replenish. So spread the word around, please, if you have anyone in a position of authority that can get that over the line. And failing that, the other idea I have is I think that fish have to evolve to be yuck. Very victim blamey. I'm aware of that, but humans have proven time and time again that we can't be relied upon to change our behaviours, can we? So we might have to put the onus on them to protect themselves by... And also, it sounds whimsical and silly, like the kind of thing that would have really upset my 13-year-old niece. Some animals have done it. This is more homework. Go home, look it up. Monarch butterfly. It's evolved to be disgusting. Okay, so the monarch butterfly, what happens is its predators come up to it and they're like, oh my God, I'm literally about to die. I haven't eaten in ages, thank God. There's a pile of monarch butterflies. I don't know why, but they travel in a pile. And they're like, there's a pile of monarch butterflies. They're like, we're saved, I'm going to eat them. And then they remember and they're like, oh my God, no, I had one of those last week. It was disgusting. They're like, I would rather die. I'm not doing another one of those. That was so yuck. They're disgusting. They are so gross. I'm going to have the trifle. Now, animals are smarter than us. I think we can all agree upon that. And the day that I was opening this show, I heard this on the radio and I had to jam it into the show. And you'll see why. This is why I'm putting the onus onto the fish, okay? So a few months back, I heard that there was a pod of sperm whales off the coast of Western Australia. Nearby, there was a pod of killer whales waiting to eat them, okay? And what the sperm whales did was they banded together in a community like the fountain pen people. Okay, they got together and they did what is known as a defensive defecation. They did a group poo to save their lives. Like, they just did a massive sea poo together. And the killer whales were like, that is disgusting. And they got out of there. We would never think to do that. Like, can you imagine you and a couple of your mates are wandering along the street at night and someone's walking along behind you, yelling out, intimidating you a bit, and you're all like, never mind, we've got this, 3, 2, 1. We'd never do it. Like, if I'd known about the defensive defecation 6 months earlier, there is absolutely no way I would have gone back for the second half of that concert band performance. You have been so wonderful. Thank you so much.